Life is full of work and stress. Parenting can be a mess. Being a woman is hard enough without adding on that extra stuff. We'll cover topics of every kind. Helpful resources we will find. We'll even drink a bottle of wine. Join us. It will be a real good time. Hi, I'm Amanda.
And I'm Nikki.
And welcome to Working Mom's Wine, where we drink a bottle of wine
and whine about our crazy, stressful working mom lives while trying to find resources that are going to help both us and you in the long run.
Yep. And today's wine is...
This is the Cat's Meow from the Adampukta Winery. It's a local-ish one to us. It's in one of our nearby winery kind of towns. The Cat's Meow is a semi-sweet, fruit-forward wine with a velvety mouthfeel. Strawberry jam and cherry are present on the nose, while rich notes of dark plum, sweet fig, cherry, and strawberry are displayed on the palate. This well-balanced wine should be served chilled. Meant to be enjoyed with friends and family anytime. And you can visit their website, adampukhtawine.com, and that's Puchta.
You know, they should put that in big, bold lettering on the front, chill first, because when you have a red wine, you don't normally chill it first.
Very true.
Is this considered red, or is this more like a...
It's a semi-sweet red.
Okay. Oh, yeah, it does say red on it. It is, in my opinion, almost cloyingly sweet.
Almost what?
Excessively sweet.
It is very sweet. This doesn't feel semi-sweet. This feels very sweet.
Right.
Now, I've had this before. Actually, I have a really not pleasant memory attached to it.
Uh-oh.
But I remember liking the wine so much, so I grabbed it from the grocery store, but I don't remember it being this sweet. It's good.
Yeah, it is good.
It's just a lot sweeter than I usually
You can definitely tell that the plum and the fig is in there.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to share my memory before we jump into today's topic.
Okay.
So I was dating this guy post-divorce, and I have a really close group of girlfriends, and one of them still lived nearby and had yet to really get to know this man that I had been dating for a while. Basically, we decided we were going to go to the wineries and hang out for the day, and she could kind of get to know him and he could get to know her. And so basically, we go to the winery and we have this plan set up. It's a place where there's a trolley and there's multiple wineries. So you can pay a ticket.
Fun.
Yeah, and you can ride the trolley between the wineries.
I want to do that.
Drive, and it's fun. It's cute. Well, we went to Adampukta. I think that was the last winery that we hit. We hit a couple of them. Just kind of splitting bottles between the three of us along the way and having fun. My friend that was with me is very fun, very spirited, hilarious. She's quick-witted, and she's hilarious. She's funny. Everything she does is funny. There's not a mean-spirited bone in her body. There's just not. She's a lovely person, and she would never do anything to, like, upset anybody or troll anybody or any of that nonsense. So we get on the trolley, and obviously we'd been drinking at this point. And we're getting on the trolley. I don't remember if we were going to ride to the next location or if we were getting ready to go home. We wound up going home after what happened.
Oh, no.
But so we're on the trolley, and very loud music playing. There's a huge group of people on there. A lot of them very young, like probably 22, 23, like group of college kind of kids. And there's not many seats on the trolley, but Emily and I find a bench to sit on. And my partner at the time is kind of standing near the front. And there's this raucous group of guys dancing and singing and having fun. And my poor friend thought it would be really funny because this one guy kept putting his leg up on the chair and dancing, and like he was making fun of his white thigh that was out. You know how they do. And she said, "This guy over there," and she pointed at my partner, and she said, "He could use a little thigh in his life." And so she basically encouraged this guy to go and dance up against my partner with his thigh up on the seat, you know. It was hilarious. We were all laughing, except my partner, who pulled the guy in, whispered something mean to him, and or I don't know what he said to this day. I don't know what he said, but it was basically something like, "That's my girl. Stay away from her. We don't need that." Some bullshit like that.
Oh my
Some
gosh.
macho crap. This is not a big burly dude that I was with. Not the kind of person you
No.
would think would go around picking fights. You
Yeah.
know. Not that I want anyone to pick fights, but that's like the antithesis of the kind of person I want to be with. I don't want to be with a guy who drinks and wants to get into fights and starts fights and thinks he's a big man for doing so,
Mhm.
or thinks he needs to tell people not to come close to me like I'm some piece of property. Like,
Yeah.
now, if some
There's
guy
also
is
no trust there.
harassing me and bothering me,
Mhm.
you can certainly step in and say, no means no, sir. You can
Right.
walk away. But there's a major difference there, right? So obviously, we watched this man's face completely deflate. Like,
Aw.
he did not mean to offend anybody.
Poor
He was not
guy.
trying to do anything. He was going because we sent him. Like, and he was just having a good time with his friends. We could hear him talking about it when we got off the trolley. And he was like, "Oh, I guess I almost started a fight. I didn't mean to upset that guy. I was trying to,
Aw.
so then we felt bad, horrible for putting a damper on this young man's day. And, he was obviously a little upset about it. And then I was pissed at my partner for two reasons. First of all, the behavior, but second
Yeah.
of all, for kind of displaying himself in this way to my friend who was here to get to know him. And this was not a good impression.
Right.
So there was a big fight after that. But, just one of many red flags that kind of took our relationship downhill. So that is what the cat's meow makes me think about.
We'll just have to replace that memory with better ones by making another trip.
That's right.
I was thinking that could be really fun.
I need a trolley redo.
Yeah, and we could go do that and then maybe take some video and put music behind it, and then we could record ourselves going on the trolley to the different places.
Yeah.
And it could be a fun little montage.
That would be
I've
fun.
never done a montage before. So, well, I mean, I guess that's not entirely true, but we'll talk about that in the next episode.
And Emily, if you're listening, one, sorry for that experience. But two, just because they have a Weber grill doesn't mean they're wholesome. It's an inside joke.
Oh, boy. Now you have to make her watch. Well, today we're doing a little bit more of a fun whine.
Mm-hmm.
We both have kids in dance.
Mm-hmm.
And also I have a coworker that I recently found out the night that she takes her daughter to dance is the same night that I take Eliana to dance.
Oh.
And in no way do we mean to be super hard on the particular studio that we go to. Obviously, there's always a lot of things that go into scheduling classes and holding them and arranging the recital at the end of the year. Obviously, it takes a lot of work to put everything together. And we are just doing some first world whining about how it personally affects us this year in particular, and then maybe a little more generic whining just for the fun of it.
Right.
But in no way are we hating on our dance studio, because they are great people and we love them.
They are. They're wonderful. They do a really good job. And,
yes,
while of course there are things we wish worked differently, we also understand there are probably very good reasons why they are the way that they are, that we just don't know and aren't privy to, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that we don't get to whine about the inconvenience it causes.
That's right.
us.
That's right. And no matter where you go, whether it's work or a hobby or whatever, you're going to have something about it you don't like.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have fun whining about the parts that we don't like.
That's right. I forgot to share my wine glass with everyone. I got this in Epcot.
It's really cute. I like it.
Mickey in the Norway Pavilion.
Did you do carry on with that?
I did. They wrapped it all up in bubble and
they are really good about
cardboardy
wrapping that stuff. Yeah.
And they wrapped it all up for me, and I just actually carried it through the
you're like, this is my
thing.
baby.
I laid it in its own separate little plastic thing. I was like, this is glass. We went through the x-ray, and then I held it.
It's cute. I like it. Is that from the
it.
Flower Festival?
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like it, but it is not the best quality.
Oh, really?
It already tips a little side to side from the bottom, it's not
even.
And you have to hand wash it. And even in hand washing it, some of the decal has already come down to here, like this little random spot. So it's like,
yeah,
it's not the best. It'd be cooler if it was like etched in and not
yeah.
just like, I don't know, stickered on there. But
Well, and I know that no matter what you do in Disney, it's going to be overpriced because that's how Disney is.
Yeah.
But was it worth what you paid for it? Knowing that now.
I don't even remember what I paid for it.
Oh.
Probably not.
I mean, I imagine though you would still buy it for the.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it is cute.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know, each time I come back, if there's a different style or a different country that's offering one, then I can have like a little collection of wine glasses from the
such
World
a good
Showcase.
Idea, yeah. So we go to a studio that doesn't participate in competitions.
God. Sorry.
Well, and half of my thought there was it's a lot with the scheduling and everything. But also, I was like, you know, we don't know how much Eliana's going to be into this yet. Like, yeah, she acts like she's a ballerina here and there. But, like, let's make sure this is something she really wants to do before we start spending, like, competition money on things.
Right.
And the classes were just so much cheaper. And with our budget and the amount of kids we had at that point in my life, I was like, you know what? Cheaper's better. So let's go with this.
True story.
Yeah. And I like, too, that they do have, this particular studio does focus on how your dancing can be a gift for God. So I like that as. But the things that I do wonder about sometimes is because it's not so competition focused, is if they're not teaching them to the level that they should be. Like, yes, she's learning positions and things like that. But, and maybe some of this is on me for not having her practice a lot at home. Like, I do have it on the chore chart, don't get me wrong. But dance practice is like, I'm gonna stretch and then I'm gonna like do whatever I want for 20 minutes that could be related to dance. And then once they know their routine, it's like, okay, your dance practice time, run through your routine 2 or 3 times so that hopefully you have it in your head and don't have to watch your teacher the whole time. So I have them do that. Like when you did gymnastics, I remember you would stretch like at home all the time or practice on your beam that we had or whatever. Yeah. She will not do that. If she's sitting down watching TV, there's no like, oh, I'm going to like limber up while I'm doing it. And you watch the older dancers and you're like, okay, they obviously know like some of the moves and things like that. But I have a friend whose daughter is in a competitive league.
If I had wanted to like get to collegiate level or have some sort of scholarship like that wasn't happening. They just didn't have gymnasts at that level yet. So I did have the same wonderings about Ari, like, am I taking some opportunity from her to be the best of the best by not putting her in a place where it's like they beat you down with correction because they want you to be the best, you know?
Right.
And I've come to the conclusion that that's crap. I told myself I was going to enroll her here. Mm-hmm. My biggest concern was that I didn't want her to be overwhelmed with religion. Mm-hmm. I felt like, well, I wanted her to know about church and God and religion and things that I had been brought up on. I didn't want her to feel forced and surrounded by it.
And no matter like what your background is in that area or where you're at or what you want your family to believe, I feel like that is an extremely valid concern. Because we were in many environments where it was an unhealthy amount, or they would, and you still hear, and this is the things, these are the ones that always hit like the mainstream media, which I hate, but there are people who like have always through the history of time twisted and manipulated things, and then they use that to hold power over or abuse others.
Extremists.
So
Radicals.
So anytime you enter into anything where there's a religious background, you have to be like, okay, is this
going
good?
to teach my daughter purity culture?
Right.
Or is that... But this studio has been wonderful. It's just been that the recital music is Christian themed songs.
Right.
The dance costumes are not revealing.
Yeah, like they're modest.
Yeah, it's not like watching these little girls in these beauty pageants with these, crazy outfits.
Yeah. I do see, even in like kid dancing, I see some outfits where I'm like, I don't I don't know about that.
It's a little risque for the age
Yeah,
group.
like
But, you know.
and of course some of this probably comes from us being 90s kids and seeing children and teenagers being over sexualized as we were growing up. I just don't see the need for that. Like,
Yeah. And at this place, like you said, there's a great focus on how your dancing can be a gift from God to God, a way to celebrate, the body that He gave you and what it can do.
Yeah, and a gift of
and a way to
service
praise
to
Him.
others. Like, if you're someone who's really into giving back to the community, they've got a team that, goes out and does the normal, like, oh, we're going to go to nursing homes and things like that. Mm-hmm. So they give back to the community too, like things like that.
Yeah. And I thought, that's more of the kind of spirit I want her to learn. And if it turns out that she goes for a couple of years and she's just like crazy talented and like a cut above, then sure, we'll go somewhere competitive and give her a chance to.
That's what I thought was, like, let her get older and then go from there. But that brings me to the other thing I kind of wanted to whine about while we're talking about competitions and schedules and all of that, is just recital time in general. Yeah. Like, it's difficult enough when you're trying to get one kid to and from all of that, because you still have a family back home with all those other obligations, and you have to figure out, all right, can the spouse be home? Or in your case, it's even more difficult. Or like, do I have to figure something out for the other kids or whatever? But then you put like kid number 2 in there, and then your niece starts dancing, and before you know it, they've scheduled a recital where all of you are going to be in different shows on the exact same day. And if you were going to attend every show, you would be there for literally 6 or so hours.
Yeah, so I say the last show starts at 6, right? And it's 2 hours?
Yeah, the shows themselves are all like 2 hours long. This year, I was at first extremely happy to see that the recital is at a high school very close to me. Usually I'm driving 30 minutes or so to get to the school where it's at. They've been slowly moving it like more and more my direction, if you will. And so maybe they'll stick with the one near me, which would be cool. Whether or not your kids actually want to watch each other, which in our case they do, I've always done things like, obviously Lucas, he's getting ready to turn 13. He's a very introverted video game kid, and he could care less if he goes to watch the recitals of his siblings. But I want to draw, and I'm a gamer too, but I believe in moderation. I want to draw him away from that for a minute and make him watch these recitals and show support to his family members. So it's like, well, now instead of making him sit through a show, I have to make him sit through at least 2 shows.
Yeah. And then you have this problem where, like, I spent, before Ari was born, I went to all of Ellie's recitals that existed.
Yeah.
But then she started coming as she got older, and that's what got her wanting to do it herself, and she loves watching her cousin Ellie dance. And then Ari had her first recital, and in return, everyone came to watch Ari's first recital, right? Now, this year is Silas's first recital, but now we have a kid dancing at 12, at 3, and at 6.
Yep.
And we're thinking, okay, my kid's in the middle, so if we came early to watch somebody, that takes away the time that we would be getting ready and doing our hair and our makeup and things like that, right? So we're like, okay, well, maybe that one's out then. We can do ours and then stay late, but either way you're looking at it, you're looking from like 12 to 6.
Yeah.
It's a long time. It's a long day. And then you're looking at your situation where you've got one at the beginning and one at the end. So you're like, what? You're getting up early and getting ready and going and spending hours doing this. And then you're like going home for a couple hours and coming back and hitting repeat. Like, that's exhausting. But I will say, at least like it's not Ari's first year too. So if you guys don't stay for that, it's not a big deal. And you need to like probably go home and like exchange stuff and eat a meal and do all those things.
Yeah.
But what is difficult for me is that Ari wants to watch Ellie dance every chance under the sun, and she's first, right? And I'm like, well, we're probably going to miss that. And then I think it's really important to go watch Silas dance for his first recital and support him in his first one. Mm-hmm. And Ari's like, if I could pick, I'd pick Ellie because she's a girl and I like girls better. She's that age.
Yeah. And Silas,
even though her and Silas are like BFFs when they play together.
Yeah, like he'll get all offended because if Ellie's around, he's dog food.
Right. The girl power is strong in these two.
Yep.
So I'm like, okay. So I've been having conversations in preparation with Ari about how we're probably not going to get to see Ellie's actual recital, but maybe we'll go to her dress rehearsal. And then, maybe we can like take a break after our recital and go eat something and then come watch Silas in his recital or something like that. But it's a lot of coordination. And it's the picture day, the dress rehearsal, the dance recital, and every kid at a different day at a different time. And like, I really only have to be responsible for one. But I still feel the pressure and the stress of trying to coordinate it all because I want to be there for the other ones too. So it's annoying.
Yeah. And I want my kids to be there for Ari too. But like, let's say we were looking at this from just a perspective of getting both of my kids to their shows. Of course, and you can't do this for every family, but I'm the one having my perspective here. It would be great if both of my kids could be in the same show.
Right.
And we're not doing this right now, but say I had a kid that had 2 classes. If both of those classes were in the same show, which does not always happen. Yeah. And then if you get a kid that wants to participate in finale, you have to go to every single show all weekend, which is another huge commitment.
The finale number. I'm lucky so far Ari isn't old enough to participate in that yet, so it hasn't become a question.
So I'm just going to have a whole day out, I think.
And that's where it becomes exhausting. Like, especially in your situation, 2 kids in the same family with obviously the same last name. Why can't we be scheduled in the same show?
Right.
But I know there's more to the coordination than that, so no hate, but also a little shade.
Yeah.
Just a little shade.
Little like, can't you make life more convenient for me specifically?
Or put one on Friday night and one on Saturday so we're not there all freaking day on one day.
That is also a fair point. I feel like that is more achievable for sure. And I was talking about this to my friend who...
Just be nice.
Her daughter is in a competitive dance. Do they call them leagues? I don't know.
Squad, I think. Dance squad. Yeah,
squad, team, whatever. So she does the competition thing, and they're getting ready to go to a competition. And she was like, we were complaining to each other about our different situations. And she goes, when I'm stuck there all day at that competition, I'll be thinking of you. And I was just thinking, that's a whole nother level too. Like she's going to this competition, as far as I know, for one child and will still be there all day.
Yeah.
If it's
a lot
anything
more involved, it's a lot more expensive. There's a lot of travel. There's,
Yeah. Because I remember, like, you've done a pageant or 2 in the past.
Yeah, I did one, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I wasn't sure if there was just one, but I remember being at the hotel, and even that was like, it was an all-day thing. We had to get a hotel room.
It was like all weekend.
That's what I was thinking. Was it was potentially all weekend. You had to bounce from like one end of the venue to the other. Like, it's a whole nother level of, holy cow, I have to do all these things.
Yeah, and you're carrying all this crap from one side to the other. Like, you got all this makeup bags and costumes and different dresses and like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and if they're doing different, like if this particular competition team is doing different routines, they've probably got a lot of like wardrobe changes and things like that too.
Yeah,
and then you have award ceremonies.
Hair totally different ways, so you gotta have a way to like break down the hair you had and put it back up the next way, and like, oh. Yikes.
The way that I do Eliana's hair for recital, it's probably not going to look any different way for like 3 days. Because I have solidified that bun.
Oh, yeah. You get the extra hold, extra firm cream, and you just slather it on there like it's concrete.
You know, like those 80s punk kids and the hair's all the way up to here, and you're like, how do they do it? That's how. But to have to do all of that and then change it like a couple hours later or less for another thing, I could not even imagine. I know. I do have one more dance studio wine to make.
Okay.
And
I got one too.
I'm going to preface this with, despite my job being kind of about numbers, I'm not a numbers person. I have to be very intentional about being good at numbers at my job. So I have not looked into exactly how everything does work on this, But I will say, judged on what I was paying for one child and what I am now paying for 2 children for dance, I see little to no difference. And it would be really nice if with kid number 2 there was like anything from like 30 to 50% off. I think if there is a discount, it's like maybe 5. And this is not obviously a large company that can afford to eat costs and things. It's a small business. They probably can't afford large discounts. I know what I signed up for. They were very upfront about what it was going to cost me. But it just,
But still.
yeah, 2 kids in there at that price is, even though it would be more somewhere else, a lot. Yeah. And also, if you're going to charge me $70 to $90 for a dance costume for a girl, and it's all glittery and things,
yeah,
okay.
There's sequins, there's ruffles, there's tutus, there's all kinds of layers.
Yeah, there's things that make sense to cost a lot more.
Yeah.
But when I have to pay the exact same amount for a mesh, what do you call it?
Tank top.
Tank top, thank you. A mesh tank top and a pair of shorts.
Basketball shiny shorts.
And you could have literally said to me, go get a yellow mesh tank top and a pair of black basketball shorts.
At Walmart.
Or even like, here's a link, if they want it all to look the same, here's a link to something on Amazon.
Right.
Guarantee you I can get that for closer to $30.
Yeah, maybe
than
less.
$90.
And then I'm going to whine about picture day.
Okay.
My child's class is right after school. So like I pick her up and we drive straight over to the dance studio and barely have time to get dressed.
Yep.
And picture time is at the exact same time as class.
Yes.
And that's going to be a struggle. I don't know how I'm going to pick her up from school, drive her over there, and do a full slick back bun. We don't, yeah.
I mean, honestly, if she doesn't want a bun, you can do her hair however you want. But you obviously you want it to look cute.
Yeah.
Like I always curl Eliana's hair. And
even if we left it down, I'd have to be like bringing a straightener and like figuring all that out and like...
Yep. That's one of my complaints about this particular studio in general. And I get it that they're trying to put the younger kids earlier in the evening and as the evening progresses go to the older kids. But it has always been for us who live 30-ish minutes from this place a huge rush of, I really hope the bus is not going to be late today, and then we're going to have to throw everything on and cram dinner down our throats and then go. Next year will be the first year where we are going to have time in between the bus and leaving for dance class. It's like every week I'm at least 5 minutes late, and I'm like, these teachers just better be understanding because not all of us live 10 minutes down the same road from the studio.
And I do, and it's still rough. So I think I'm like a 15 maybe minute drive. But yeah, it's going to be a rush and a squish. Last year it was a lot easier because we did a Friday night and we had hours in between, like when we would get home from anything to when we had to be at the studio.
But then if you want to do anything on the weekend.
Exactly. It was rough, and we couldn't like travel places for like an extended weekend or anything like that. So that's why we switched to Wednesday nights. There's just so many complications. You can go straight from school and be rushed, or you can go home and then they're tired.
Yeah.
Or you can, like, you know. So I'm like, I think next year is going to be a better balance. It's not quite as late as we went on Fridays, but it's a little later than now. So we'll be able to go home, eat something, and put on clothes and show up at the dance studio.
Yeah. And
so hopefully that will be better for pictures too.
Yeah. They're very good about like, oh, you can't make it. You are more than welcome to show up for a replacement class. Mm-hmm. But I never can. Our schedule is way too tight.
Like at a certain point, they're teaching routines, right? Like recital routines. And you're like, so I'm going to bring my kid up to learn somebody else's routine for a night? Like that seems silly.
That's a good point I didn't think about because I'm the kind of person where if this is anywhere between August and December, I don't feel guilty about skipping because all they're doing is learning techniques and whatever. And if we have like one random week off, she's not going to be, or he's not going to be too far behind.
Yeah.
Now if it was like a more consistent thing, sure, maybe it would become more important.
Yeah.
But once January hits, and I didn't think about the fact that if you go to a different class, even if it is the same, what do you call it?
Age group level.
Same type of class, same group level. They might be working on a different song and a different routine. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But that is the one thing, like, if it's from January to May, I try my hardest not to skip a class.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, now they're learning the routine and
Right.
they're going to need everything they can get because it's got to stick in their brains.
And it doesn't. So
No, it doesn't.
Ari did really good last year. I was really impressed for her first recital that she remembered the moves and seemed to like do them mostly at the right time without too many like freezing moments, you know.
Yeah.
Her dress rehearsal was much better than the recital because her dad wasn't there, and she did it perfectly for dress rehearsal. But then,
I feel like they always do it
when
better
she came
for
out on
dress
the
rehearsal.
stage, she saw her dad, and that distracted her. So it wasn't as good. But you know, we're not perfectionists here, so it's fine.
Right.
This year she's doing tap, which is not her forte. Mainly because she just wants to swirl and turn around and spin around and stuff. And the tap is a lot about focusing on, you know, when the ball of your foot hits the floor versus the heel of your foot and the different things. And she's just not that detail oriented. And I can't imagine it's going to be a lot more chaos this
why
year.
your kindergartner is not that detail oriented.
You know, and I'll be like, have you memorized your routine? And she's like, eh.
So teaser for next week, which is definitely not going to be recorded in a couple of minutes with us.
I forgot a wardrobe change again.
Well, I wasn't thinking about it anyway, so I know we've talked a little bit about reality TV already. We're going to revisit that topic.
Yeah.
Because my work has a fake Survivor going on right now.
It's pretty cool, you guys.
I'm in it. And
I'm jealous.
Nikki's about to quit her job and come work with me.
I'd be terrible at it because I cannot lie worth a hill of beans or like throw shade or nothing.
Well, and I think
you'd see it all on my face.
I think that's going to work to my advantage with some of my plans for next week. Monday.
None of your coworkers listen to this, right? Do we need to release it after the show's over?
I don't think anyone who is in the actual group listens to it, and I definitely know for a fact that the person I'm going to be focusing on does not listen to it.
So, okay.
And honestly, so by the time the Survivor one comes out, even if she does listen to it, it's going to be way too late for her.
She'll be gone. The writing's on the wall.
She'll be gone.
That's what they always say, and it backfires, so.
I'll tell you what, if I was not already immune next week, I'd be like, I'm going to say this, but they're going to vote me out. But I have the advantage of being immune, me and one other girl, so we'll go over all of that. It'll be fun.
Anyway, yeah, we're going to talk about Survivor more.
Yes.
And the cool office game that she's got going.
Honestly, we could talk about this season more for sure because a lot of interesting and funny things have happened this season.
It's true.
There was a period of a couple of years, if not, we'll say several years. Those of you watching this season might find why that's funny.
As I'm now.
So as always, like, subscribe on YouTube. Feel free to share us with your friends. You can follow us on Spotify. We're on Instagram.
Don't bother with TikTok. It's going away. They're voting on it today.
So. Are they really?
They
are. Is it today?
Today is the vote. It's supposed to be passed by and signed by the president by 6 p.m. Because they've tucked it into a bill about war funding and humanitarian aid. So that's getting done tonight. But they have a whole year to divest or whatever.
Yeah.
So it won't be going away immediately. But
yeah.
The writing is on the wall.
Oh, man. I hope you don't have stock in TikTok. You might see a decrease after
There is a lot of legal action going to battle it. Like, the ACLU is picking things up and all kinds of stuff. So
interesting.
We'll see what happens. But
yeah. Well, for now, just to be on the safe side, YouTube and Spotify and Instagram are where can find it.
That's where we're going to focus our efforts.
That's right. And we will see you next time. Bye.